Greetings, heathens and naredowells. I'm Don, the philosophical Satanist, joined by my familiars Marius and Buddy, and today we're gonna discuss a topic it's a little bit not so much controversial as it's a bit up in the air at the moment. And this video is called Paying for the Privilege. Now, it's going to be an exploration on whether it's actually worth paying someone to teach you about magic and the occult. Now, I make it no secret that this channel and the things I do online are all about me wanting to do this for a living. Working sucks. I think anybody can agree with that. And after investing more than 25 years in the study of magic, there's not very much about it I don't know and haven't practiced at some stage, because I've never been an armchair magician one who just sits back and theorizes about practical workings. So I charge for my time now. I used to get my inbox was flooded with people asking me questions and asking me to teach them this and tell them about that, to the point where I was actually answering questions and I wasn't actually getting out and doing anything. And one day I thought about the Joker's line, if you're good at something, never do it for free. So I started telling people, when they started asking me questions and asking me to teach them and tell them things, I started telling them that I charge for my time. And it's, if nothing else, it's cleared out my inbox, because 9 times out of 10 I tell people, oh, you got to pay me if you want me to give you any secrets. And people decide they don't want to. And that's perfectly cool, because I have so much more time on my hands. Now, teaching about this I think it's developed a bit of a dirty connotation, and that's just based on the general opinion a lot of the more experienced people have out there, where they provide warnings that people are only after your money and so on and so forth. And I agree, there are a lot of shysters out there. There are a lot of people claiming knowledge they don't possess, or claiming to be able to teach. There are lots of bad people out there, but like myself, there are many out there who are legitimately good. So, being already 3 minutes in, let's get to the why would you pay for the privilege? Now, straight up, the practice of magic is not cheap. If you're a beginner, you are going to need to invest a minimum of $300, right? And that's getting your hands on tools that you'll want. You can make them yourself, but you still got to buy materials. Getting a book that you can study and will tell you what to do. You've got incenses, candles, you've got gemstones, you've got all these things you need to buy that you can't make yourself. And once again, even if you make it, there's a material cost. It'll cost you $300 straight up to just start on the magical path to do it properly. And then you've got the problem of independent research. Now, you can, on Facebook, you can join a magic community and you can ask questions, and you can you'll get lots of people tell you lots of different things, and then it's up to you to figure it out. And this is where paying someone can be incredibly useful. Now, I'm in Australia, so I charge 50 Australian dollars, which works out to about $32 American, and about £18 if you're in Britain. And if you're outside of that and your economy's weaker than ours, I apologize, but $50 an hour is my basic overtime rate, and I teach outside of my working full-time job hours, so I demand overtime rates for it. And at the end of the day, I'm cheaper than a maths tutor for your kids. That's an interesting thing. People will pay tutors for a lot of other subjects and not even think twice about paying $68, $70 an hour. But, $50 an hour to learn the occult, different kettle of fish. But, You can learn more in an hour with someone who knows what they're talking about than you could a month of independent study and bouncing around in the dark. You know, it's pretty common knowledge that an upwards facing pentagram is spiritual and a downwards facing pentagram is actually not evil, it's for earthly and the mundane. But do you understand the significance of that? Maybe not. Maybe not. See, a lot of things you have as information are just accepted, but the workings behind it, the reasons, the mechanisms, these are not things that you're aware of. Now, I can't speak as to how other people teach. I can only talk about if you were to pay me for an hour of my time to instruct you and tell you things. So we would sit there, you could tailor it to what you want. You want to learn about demonology? Well, tell you how to go about getting right with demons. You want to talk about magical theory? You just want someone to answer any question, no matter how silly you may think it. Right? Once you pay someone for their time to teach you something, they should be teaching you what you want to know. You can have any question answered. You can learn about any subject. You want to know the difference between angels and demons, so working with Enochian and working with the Key of Solomon. You want to learn about the history of animal sacrifice and how in the Key of Solomon, preparing virgin parchment was just an interesting way to slaughter your dinner, but it's not a practical thing you can do in today's day and age. You know, what are acceptable substitutes? What's the mindset that you need to adopt when substituting one item from an old grimoire for another item which is more applicable in the modern age? How has magic evolved in 500 years? How has our understanding of the universe changed with the introduction of quantum physics? And does science even play into magic? And if so, how? There are so many things out there that you could research for yourself. But with a small cash investment, you could learn everything you needed to know in no time whatsoever. And that is the benefit of paying for the privilege. So if you've watched my videos and if you're interested in learning from me about anything I might know, and I haven't just studied on demons and Satanism, I've studied witchcraft, I've studied shamanism, I've studied Egyptian, Norse, Enochian, my God, 9/10 of the major grimoires, and inside of witchcraft that includes herbology, gemstones. I know about planets, planetary times, hours. There's very little on the subject of magic I can't tell you about. And there aren't many people out there who have studied nearly everything that they could get their hands on. One of the wonderful things about my about not being neurotypical is when I get really interested in something, I deep dive, and I've spent more than 25 years deep diving magic. And you know, it's a good opportunity. It's an opportunity that you can take to speed yourself up. Because I don't know if you're like I was 20 plus years ago, the amount of things I wanted to try, but pre-internet, pre-opportunities to get your hands on stuff like this, I didn't do it because I was too scared to. It was only years later, years and years of study later, that I felt confident to do it. And that's the joy of the modern age. We don't have to baby step it anymore. Mass communication has allowed for mass exchange of ideas, and I truly believe that a deeper understanding of magic and the universe and spellcraft and all of those sorts of things are vital to us taking the next evolutionary step as a species, a step that's going to save us from destruction. It's not the whole part, but it's a very important part. So, once again, if someone's claiming to teach, do a bit of a look in on them. If you want to find me, you can find me on the Facebook groups, the Demonology group you always wanted. That's one I've started that takes a positive approach to the subject of demonology. I spend a fair amount of time in the group Demonolatry, which is the worship of demons as opposed to the study of demons. I'm not a demonolator myself, because as a Satanist I don't worship anything, but it's a good group. It's a good group with good people, and you generally get a nice response. These Witches is a new group that I've recently joined, and that's a nice community as well. And I've got my own groups, Satanic Socratic Thought, which is a time capsule for the Satanic Wars, and the Satanic Congregation, which is an Australian based satanic group. So inside of those groups, 9 times out of 10 you'll find me, and ping me a message. Ask what you want to ask, and we can set up a time that works for both of us, and we can answer questions. So, bit of self-promotion in this video. Actually, a lot of self-promotion in this video, but like I said, I have an agenda. I make no illusions about it. But also that there are a lot of good people out there teaching as well. You just got to use a bit of discernment on whether or not they're going to help you. And if somebody inboxes you, hassling you to teach you or tell you something, take that as a bit of a red flag. So, don't just jump into anyone and believe anything that you hear. So until next we speak, this is Don, the Philosophical Satanist, saying hail thyself, and have a beautiful day.